Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Do your crazy show that the kids love so much.
Okay. Welcome to Big Questions. This week we're going to go down the other memory lane again and talk about our memories, both good and bad or in between, of either making the album Beelzebubba or hearing the album Beelzebubba, our fourth album and our final one with Fever Records from Philadelphia. And we're going to start this with the memories from this way. Dan, because he wasn't there for making it, but he was there for hearing it. And then we'll just go in the normal order of Dean, Rodney, and I'll wrap it up.
Why wouldn't we start with you?
Well, no, we'll get mine out of the way. Nobody listens.
Let's just get his album.
I love this album. I would give it 2 thumbs up. Yeah, I have it right here with the lyrics.
And it came with the lyric sheet. That's right.
And I somehow kept this too.
The hype sticker
outside.
The Jim Welder quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Jim Welder, early, in Hamtramck.
That's right. That's where we met him.
So yeah, I loved having this album, and I like the lyric sheet. This was one of my favorite things. More on other side.
Oh yeah, I remember Rodney and I did the lyric sheet.
It like pops up in my head
in his
like,
apartment. Huh?
Almost daily. It pops up in my head on like almost on a daily basis. When anybody says like, "Oh, more on that later."
There's a substance in your home that could cause your knees to fall off. We'll tell you what it is at 11 o'clock.
More on that later.
More on that later.
But yeah, the track listing is great, and it has a nice flow to it. I think the production value or quality of it, to me, sounds much better than like Bucky Fellini. Sounded like there was a lot more like instrumentation, and like, you know, we got the accordion and the sound effects and kind of stuff. But yeah, I also have the smoked banana peels.
Right, and somebody specifically asked in the comments of the last one if we would address why we did that or something.
Why the hell not?
So I guess as far as like my memories, I remember the first time I heard it, by the time I got to Sri Lanka Sex Hotel, I thought that this was a quite a unique album, even for you guys.
Okay.
And you're known to play
I'll take it.
Sex Hotel and sound checks, aren't you, Dan?
This album also has Smoking Banana Peels, which is possibly my top favorite song to play live.
You do the sound effect live because you and I traded the sound effect for Taco Bell. Yeah, and we don't own it anymore. And because Dan and I got hungry. And so, yeah, so now, you know how you see Taco Bell, you hear that little bell in the background, which is actually from a DX7, a famous bell sound. But it's, yeah, you for a while they thought you would hear, bro, out, bro. And yeah, so we sold it to them for some Taco Bell.
And they're not even using it?
What's it? No.
Yeah. Did you
It
guys
seemed a good idea at the time.
They just gave us a bunch of tacos and
free Taco Bell card for life? Did you guys get? Or
not even for life? Just, you know, you guys send over some Taco Bell and you can have this sound.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't have
Thank
like
you, Dan.
Yeah.
All right, so Dean, what do you
I mean, I remember we recorded at Arlen, which I like the studio there. I guess it was another album where Brian had me play out in the warehouse.
Yeah, we drove out to Brian Beattie did this one too, just like Bucky Fellini.
Yeah, yeah.
We drove out there, but we didn't play any shows on the way, did we?
No, I think we went there just to record.
Went straight.
And I read something, Joe, when I had forgotten this. I know Dan mentioned the accordion, and it appears on the song Punk Rock Girl. Brian set you up with an accordion so you could try and teach yourself how to play. And from what I read, I don't know if you read it on the internet. Was it true that you just played the melody side and then he added?
Oh, come on, that's true. Of course, that's true. Why would that be made up? All right, I'll say that we rented a house when we rented a house to live in for, I don't know, 3 weeks or a month. I don't even remember. I would say probably about a month. And we had this, it was a month. We had the studio booked not for a month, but this is why now. But there at the we went into a rehearsal studio that wasn't the studio, that didn't cost as much as the studio. And for 1 week we rehearsed with Brian the songs for the record. And he did his normal pre-production, arrangement thing if he needed to for whatever. And then he wanted me to play, he wanted accordion on Punk Rock Girl. So he lent me an accordion to take home for a weekend. And this is when we were in the recording stage, and try to come up with something to play on it. But I couldn't in a weekend figure out how to be good at accordion. So but I did have a melody. So he played the accordion umpa part, and just somehow let me play just one fingered accordion on the
melody part of the keyboard. Yeah. I remember when we recorded Bad Party, we had lots of people in the studio, mostly Glass Eye and some other folks, to make people party noises. Things I remember are exactly related to the recording of the album. I mean, we did a photo shoot out at the Anonymous Estate in Westchester, or Coatesville, and with Rodney's dad. And I think your dad chewed on a cigar, or did he smoke the cigar?
Tried to smoke it, yeah.
And he got really sickly.
There are no smokers in my family, no. So he smoked that and then got violently ill later on.
Yeah. But we shot that out in the yard, and that was fun. And then, of course, the video shoot at Eastern State Penitentiary, before it became the tourist attraction that it is now. We were there when, you had to, if we were smart, you would wear a hard hat, but we weren't smart, and we just wandered around everywhere, and probably almost killed ourselves falling through floors and falling debris. So that was fun. The video was directed by Adam Bernstein. That's basically what I remember. I mean, has a bunch of songs that we still play live. Some of my favorites. I like I Walk the Thinnest Line. We haven't played that one in a while. Maybe we need to bring that one back. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Dean.
So if you follow that, there are 3 people doing something on Punk Rock Girl, 1 person doing nothing. So Brian hands the accordion to one of the people doing something, rather than the son of an accordion player who could have probably worked on that for a bit. So Brian, if you're watching, fuck you in the neck. Fuck you in the neck for making it not a fun experience for me. Yeah, but it did work out in the end, because not being on Punk Rock Girl has been a godsend to my career. People are like, you weren't on that, you can work with me. So that is a good thing. So yes, and that is indeed my late father, Bring Everybody Down, who passed away in April. I first, when I was signing these again after he passed away, I thought it would make me sad, but it does make me very happy to see him. And then I realized that we'll probably, if we haven't already, re-release it on multicolor vinyl and try to take you idiots' money. And I'm surprised that somebody hasn't approached me with the idea of mixing some of my father's ashes in there, maybe every 4th album. Sure, it's tasteless, but is it any more tasteless than selling multicolor vinyl? No, it isn't. So yeah, so if I'm a bitter person, that's good, because you need somebody to write the angry lyrics.
It did get released on multicolor.
Yeah, all right, let's not see that. This marks our slow descent from an angry punk rock band to a bunch of chumps who will sell you multicolor vinyl.
All right. Thank you, Rodney. I remember, I think it was July, we drove down, I think it was 1988. Yeah, we drove straight
the
down.
hottest month of the year. Let's drive to Texas where it's even
And
hotter.
Dave Reckner, our manager, came with us. Yeah. And like I said, we had a house. It was we rented it. It was owned by one of the nephews of Willie Nelson. I remember that part. there are some Willie Nelson gold records decorated.
Drums for him.
It wasn't a bad house. It was like, it felt like it was in suburbia to me. And there was a pool in the backyard we had full use of. There was a barbecue, and on the weekends we didn't work on weekends. We did Monday through Friday, a normal kind of schedule. And we had 1 week of rehearsals, 2 weeks of recording, and I think 1 week of mixing, the whole shebang, something like that. And we were all there for the mixing part too. Then we drove home, but I remember when we first opened the barbecue, a bunch of roaches flew out. They didn't just crawl out, but they flew out. And that's Texas for you. That's what Kathy would tell us. It's Texas for you. I had a lot of fun doing it. Writing it, we wrote it in the almost formulaic way. We started working with both approaches of Rodney wrote lyrics ahead of time, and Dave and I usually tackled writing music to the lyrics in certain cases. And also Dave and I would work regularly on music, and then usually Rodney would put lyrics over that in the rehearsal stage. So we had a schedule that we kept. I think we were rehearsing twice a week, and Dave and I would get together once or twice, sometimes twice a week. And at that point, I was not living with Dave. I was in Germantown and he was in West Philly. He came to Germantown once and didn't like it there for many good reasons. And so I would always take a bus and then a subway to his house. And I don't know, we just did a work-a-day routine of coming up with whatever riffs we can come up with, because we would have practice usually the next day or 2 days after that, and need to flesh it out as a band. As for the 12-inch, Brian wanted us, he when we first got into the studio, he asked us to play old songs to warm up within the studio, to get the studio warmed up and not waste our studio preciousness on going. He did this on the other album too, on Lucky Fellini album too, and that's how Ask Me to Dance got rid of it.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yeah.
Is this the recording session where in the lobby we played role-playing games like Car Wars and the Illuminatus?
Oh yeah, well we did both this and Metaphysical Graffiti were similar in that fashion, because of the games. And they had a nice, it was a very comfy studio. It was like up to that point, probably the best studio. Nice arrangement. It's called Arlen Studio. So we warmed up our studio headphone sounds and everything on old songs that hadn't made it, and I kind of wanted to get on tape anyway. So they were taped purposefully. They were like Girl Hunt, Depression Day Dinner, etc. Puking song that ended up on the B-side of the 12-inch. And I think that the idea to do a remix we did a remix already, and it was successful for Instant Club Hit. So I thought the danciest song to do a remix on this album, not that you should do the same thing twice, but we did the same idea twice, was the Smoke and Nanopeel song. And our idea to get the Was Not Was I think partially based on, I think we answered this in another Big Questions, based on we liked their Dad, I'm in Jail single, or maybe it was a B-side, but it was a pretty cool single. And we knew that Howard Kramer, who was an assistant at the time to our manager, had a connection to them. So we got on the phone with them and they agreed to do it. And while they're doing the remix, we were touring in California, and Dean and I went over to the studio and visited it, and I got to play guitar on one of the remixes. So that's how that 12-inch came about.
I
And
remember that the pool was so warm, we thought we had a heated pool, but then it was explained to us that no, it's 125 during the day. The pool will get warm, but I was only allowed to put my hand in it. Brian felt it was better if the other three guys experienced the pool, and I experienced it from the outside. So, and also at one point, the Butthole Surfers were going to come over and swim in our pool, but that
then what happened?
What?
What happened?
I don't know. I don't know what killed what would have been the greatest pool party in history. I have no idea. I would have even paid for a new filter. I would have definitely done it. But no, the Butthole Surfers were supposed to at one point. They knew where we were, what part of town they were going to come on over at one point. But that would have been epic. I would have enjoyed that.
So yeah, those are my memories. Now, shall we have some recommendations?
We shall.
I would like to. No. What?
No, we shall.
Okay, we don't need to. I would like to recommend an album that came out in August. It's by Josh Gray, and he's a country music singer songwriter, and it's called Walk Alone. It's country music with intelligent lyrics, and it has tinges or inspiration by rock, country rock, bluegrass, and folk. And it's 10 songs. I really like it. Give it a listen if you like that sort of thing.
I would like to recommend listening to this track, this song that I heard on WPRB, New Jersey's only radio station, by Candy Claus. And I never heard this. I never even heard of it. And it's from like, I don't know, 2012 or something. But it's called Two Airships / Exploder Falls. And then it says alternate soundtrack to The White Diamond by Werner Herzog. And I just heard it on Princeton radio, and I was like, what the hell is this? I can't tell if this is like going in and out of static, but then it would get really clear, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. So I recommend you check it out. We'll have a link to their Bandcamp.
I would like to recommend something Beelzebubba related. I don't know why or when, but people just started sending me recordings or pointing me to recordings of covers of Punk Rock Girl. I have over 20 of them at least now. And the latest one that I got was sent to me by my friend Mark. It's called Punk Rock Girl. It's a ukulele cover by a fellow named J.R. Dahman. He calls himself Me and Uke. It's him and his ukulele. He's playing at a street fair somewhere in Indiana, I think. And it's a good cover. He does a little something different with it. So yeah, I would suggest you check it out. And if you do a search on YouTube, I'm sure you can find plenty of other covers of Punk Rock Girl out there.
The great thing about not being on the original song is I'm also not on the covers, but it also does give me a unique place in the history of rock and roll. I'm the only member of a one-hit wonder band that was not on the one hit. So
you play the accordion very well, by the way.
Thank you.
Well,
my father was on the album cover, was an accordion player.
But look, I didn't play on it either.
That's okay. Yeah, I know. I think you have. Yeah, that probably helped your career. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to recommend, I'm still kind of stuck on it's country music, but with intelligent lyrics. First thing I'm going to recommend is Trivia Time, Marilyn Manson versus the Bloodhound Gang. This is our friends Red Letter Media, the folks who do Best of the Worst. They do Mr. Plinkett. They do all that stuff. It's a trivia challenge hosted by Mike, and it's Jay versus Rich Evans. And they're basically, the trivia is which lyrics are by the Bloodhound Gang and which one are by Marilyn Manson. It is the funniest goddamn thing I have seen in ages. And you would not think that this would lend itself to comedy, but it becomes instant comedy. And yes, this is both something that's as easy as you think. Say, hey, is this by the Bloodhound Gang or is this by Marilyn Manson? And also at times a little bit more difficult than you think. So yeah, you're going to want to see it. You will laugh your ass off. Second, my wife had injured her foot, so I had been taking charge of the laundry, which is down in my workshop area. So I have built an impossible box. My wife had a bunch of these tarot card things, and she was like, can you do anything with them? Here's the lid. And I use the impossible box to show what mood I'm in by which way this is pointing. So look, the Lovers, or I think right after I built it, I was like the Star. And then there's also Death. You can tell when I'm in a bad mood, and then the Tower. You don't want to get near me then. But what I also use it for is just take a word and just make a table there, 8 by 8, so you've got 64 spaces. Oh, by the way, the Stevie Nicks thing I eventually decoupaged on the inside, and this is just foam core, folks. You can build it out of that very quick. But what I did was I do a thing called 31 Days of Halloween, where every day I watch a different horror movie and we'll recommend one. And what I've done is I've got 64, more than twice of what I need. Yeah, different horror movies in here. So as you know, I'm into random stuff. So I am now randomly picking a horror movie. So let's see what I'm going to recommend for you folks tonight for a horror movie. Oh, As Above, So Below. Yes, this is a really cool film. It takes place in France in the Paris catacombs, or catacombs, as our British friends say. And it's really good. They actually filmed in the catacombs, and they show you one of my favorite secret entrances to the catacombs down by the railroad that's no longer there. So I think you really, really like that one. It's a nice little surprise, and it goes in a place you don't expect. So the movie I'm recommending tonight will be As Above, So Below. Build an impossible box, people.
That's cool.
Thank you. That it for tonight?
Have a good night, everyone, or a good day, or a good week.
Good night. Oh, Dan's got that's the lyric sheet. I often lie about the lyrics. You know that, right?
I love that it's a special thanks to everyone.
Everyone. We don't leave anybody out.
Including Tom Walsh.
People will often...
Tom Walsh.
Huh?
From America's Most Wanted?
Probably.
No, yeah, who's Tom Walsh?
He's part of everyone.
Well, yeah, there's probably several Tom Walshes.
Multiple Tom Walshes out there?
Was he involved in the studio or something? Or
I don't know who Tom Walsh is.
maybe he was your weed dealer or something.
I oftentimes will lie when I'm asked to turn in lyrics, and I'll change some of them. And this is like the maps. When people would make maps, they would put a fake town or a fake island on there. And then you would say, oh, and Google had a fake island on there for a while when they first started, because they were using old info. But this is my way of checking for plagiarism. They're actually looking at the lyrics versus listening to the song. And so sometimes I find myself chuckling to myself.
The thing I remember about the house we stayed down in there, maybe you better cut this out, is I stayed in the room that had a water in it, and I opened up the drawer in the bedside table, and there was a loaded 45 in it.
Well, it's Texas.
Well, yeah, it's Texas.
How did you know it was loaded? Was it a clip? Was it
loaded? Yeah.
If it was a revolver, you
tell
could
it was
see.
loaded.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's waiting around to load a 45 when somebody's breaking into your house.
Well, of course it was loaded. That's the baby's room.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave the baby in there with a gun that ain't
A
loaded.
water bed without a gun.
What if somebody comes around casting aspersions on him? He's got a
gun. It's his Second Amendment right.
Yeah. They took my Jesus gun. I can't celebrate Christmas without my Jesus gun. We're out of here.